Welcome to Duo Reads, where we decode deep ideas and break down big books one page at a time. Today, we're diving into a classic that, honestly, promises to revolutionize how we tackle our to-do lists and, well, our lives. Eat That Frog by Brian Tracy. This isn't just about getting more done. It's really about getting the right things done, especially those big, intimidating tasks, the ones we tend to put off. Okay, let's unpack this.
Indeed. And what's fascinating here is how Tracy essentially distills decades of time management wisdom. He boils it down into 21 really practical principles. And he starts by challenging a belief most of us have that we can ever truly get caught up. He basically says, look, there will always be more to do than time available. And that immediately shifts the focus. It's not about managing time anymore. It's about managing ourselves, our priorities.
That's such a key starting point, isn't it? Because that pressure to just clear the decks, it leads to overwhelm for so many people. So, okay, what exactly is a frog then? Because I admit, when I first heard the title, I pictured something, well, slimy.
Yeah, it's a memorable image. So Tracy defines your frog as your biggest, most important task. It's the one you're most likely to procrastinate on, yeah. But it's also the one that could have the greatest positive impacts on your life, on your results. It's the ugliest task.
The ugliest because it's the most significant, maybe the hardest. Okay.
Precisely. And he gives two really foundational rules for frog eating.
Right. And the first one is, if you have to eat two frogs, eat the ugliest one first. That just cuts right through it, doesn't it? Tackle the absolute toughest, highest impact thing right away.
Exactly. Confront the biggest challenge first. And the second rule is just as crucial. If you have to eat a live frog at all, it doesn't pay to sit and look at it for very long.
Don't stare at it.
Don't stare at it. It's about building that habit, that discipline of just launching into your major task first thing. No overthinking.
Which raises the big question. Why do we procrastinate on these things? We know they're important.
Yeah, well, often it's fear, right? Fear of the size of it, fear of failure, maybe just uncertainty. Our brains kind of want that quick win. And a big, ugly frog doesn't offer that up front. So Tracy flips it. He talks about success being predictable. He shares his own story, going from laborer to VP, simply by asking successful people what they did and then doing it.
It sounds almost too simple.
Well, yeah, but the truth behind it is powerful. People who achieve more, they just use their time way better. They focus single-mindedly on their most important task.
So it's about discipline and focus, not necessarily innate genius. That's actually quite encouraging.
It really is. And a huge part of that discipline is planning. If we connect this to the bigger picture, it highlights the importance of clarity. Tracy calls it setting the table, deciding exactly what you want, and getting it down on paper. He says only about 3% of adults have clear written goals. Get this.
Only 3%?
Yeah, and those individuals, they accomplish 5 to 10 times as much as people who don't write their goals down. It's not just thinking it, it's formalizing it.
That's a massive difference. And he gives that 7-step formula, right? Writing goals, deadlines, lists, organizing them. My favorite bit from that section, though, is his rule. One of the very worst uses of time is to do something very well that need not be done at all. Oof.
That's a big aha moment, isn't it? Staying busy versus being productive. And it leads right into the 10-90 rule from Chapter 2. Spend the first 10% of your time planning.
And it saves 90% in execution.
Exactly. It's an incredible return on energy. Think about the time we waste just figuring out what to do next. This is also where he brings in the different lists, master, monthly, weekly, daily, and just the simple act of ticking things off, that feeling of accomplishment.
Those little wins build momentum. Okay, let's talk about the 80-20 rule, the Pareto principle. This is such a game changer.
It really is.
He says 20% of what you do yields 80% of your results. So if you have 10 things on your list,
2 of them matter way more than the other 8 combined.
Right. But the trap is we often procrastinate on those vital few, the top 20%, and get bogged down in the trivial many.
That's the core challenge, identifying those high-leverage frogs. And Chapter 4 pushes this further. Consider the consequences. Important tasks have long-term consequences, good or bad. So he gives us 3 questions to really sharpen our focus.
Okay, what are they?
First, what are my highest value activities? Second, borrowing from Peter Drucker, what can I and only I do that if done well will make a real difference?
Well, that's a good one. Only I can do.
Yeah. And third, what is the most valuable use of my time right now? It forces you to look ahead, to prioritize impact over just effort.
And that prioritization, that leads straight into the ABCDE method, doesn't it? I found this really practical.
Super practical. A is must do. Those are your frogs. B is should do. C, nice to do. D is delegate. E, eliminate.
And the absolute golden rule, never do a B task when an A task is sitting there waiting. Never get distracted by a tadpole when there's a big frog.
Huh. It's such a great image. It really sticks. And this leads to something that sounds a bit odd at first. Creative procrastination?
Right, procrastinating.
Yeah.
Creatively.
Well, since you can't do everything, you have to deliberately put off the low-value stuff. Set posteriorities, things you choose to do later or less of, or maybe not at all.
So saying no becomes key, not just to others, but to your own impulses to do the easy, less important things first.
Exactly. It's proactive.
Yeah.
Now, once you've got your frog identified and prioritized,
Hmm.
how do you actually tackle it? Especially the big ones.
Yeah, the getting started part. Chapter 9 talks about preparing thoroughly before you begin.
Sounds simple, but it's critical. Get everything you need ready. Clear your workspace. He tells that story about the aspiring screenwriters in LA.
Oh yeah, the ones who say the script is almost done when it's really not yet started.
Perfect example. Preparation clears the mental clutter as much as the physical. A clear desk can genuinely help lead to a clearer mind.
Okay, but what about those frogs that aren't just ugly, they're huge, like massive projects?
Right, the overwhelming ones. That's chapter 10, taking it one oil barrel at a time. He used the analogy of crossing the Sahara Desert, where you can only see the next 2 oil barrels marking the path.
Ah, so you break it down. You only focus on the very next step, not the whole enormous journey.
Precisely. Make it manageable. It connects to those other techniques later on, the salami slice method.
Just take one thin slice, like writing the first paragraph.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or the Swiss cheese method, punch one small hole in it. Spend just 5 minutes on that task you're dreading.
Anything to just get started, because that initial inertia is often the hardest barrier.
It really is. That first bite, that first slice, it often builds enough momentum to keep you going.
But it's not just about the tactics, is it? He puts a huge emphasis on personal energy levels.
Oh, absolutely.
Error.
Chapter 15, maximize your personal powers. This is all about avoiding burnout. He points out pretty starkly that productivity plummets after 8 or 9 hours. And how many people are working basically in a mental fog because they're sleep deprived?
Too many, probably.
Way too many.
Yeah.
And his advice is so straightforward. Turn off the TV, go to bed earlier, like 10 p.m. Take one full day off a week from any demanding mental work.
Recharge completely. It's a reminder that taking care of yourself isn't optional if you want to perform well. Energy affects procrastination directly.
It's the foundation. And speaking of modern drains on energy and focus, chapter 17, get out of the technological time sinks.
Oh, this is so relevant today.
Incredibly. He warns about that constant need to check email, messages, basically drowning in information exchange. He gives this example of a client who saved 23 hours a week just by having someone else sort their email first, applying the 80-20 rule to their inbox.
23 hours, that's almost a whole day. Wow. It really makes you question, is technology serving you or are you serving it?
That's the critical question, isn't it? How much work is just feeding the technology beast?
Okay, so you're prepared, you're energized, you picked the right frog, you've broken it down. Then comes chapter 20, developing a sense of urgency.
Yeah, that inner drive. He calls it a bias for action. Get going and keep going. And when you work like that, consistently, you can hit that state of flow. Everything just clicks, feels effortless, accurate.
Like you're in the zone.
Exactly. And it creates this positive feedback loop. Moving faster gives you more energy, you accomplish more, you feel better, you have more energy, it builds on itself.
And the ultimate principle, maybe the hardest, is chapter 21, single handle every task.
Once you start a high priority task, an A task,
Stick with it, no diversions, until it's 100% done.
100%. He warns that starting and stopping context switching can increase the time needed by up to 500%.
500, that's staggering. It really highlights the cost of distraction.
It really does.
Yeah.
And he calls this single handling the true test of your character. It's pure self-discipline. But mastering it builds incredible self-esteem and effectiveness. You build a reputation with yourself for finishing things.
Okay, so we've covered a lot about work, productivity, getting things done. But what's the bigger picture? How does this affect life outside of work?
That's where it all comes together, really. He talks about the law of 3 in chapter 8. He shares Cynthia's story, this client who identified her 3 core high-value tasks. She focused intensely on those.
And doubled her income and her time off.
Both. By focusing. He argues that 90% of your value in almost any role comes from just 3 key activities. But the real point, the purpose of learning all this,
It's not just about work success.
not at all. He argues the whole reason to get good at managing your time and tasks at work is to free up more time and energy for your personal life. He states that, something like 85% of your happiness comes from your relationships, family, loved ones.
So if you're killing yourself working late, always stressed about the to-do list.
You're potentially robbing your family and yourself of the best version of you, right? Are you eating the work frogs but leaving nothing for home? It raises that tough question.
That really reframes it. It's not just efficiency for efficiency's sake. It's efficiency for the sake of a better life.
Exactly. And he has that great rule. It is quality of time at work that counts and quantity of time at home that matters.
Quality at work, quantity at home. I like that.
But it's not a one-time fix, is it? He compares it to being a tightrope walker you're constantly adjusting, making conscious choices every day to maintain that balance.
It's about designing your life, not just your workday.
Perfectly put. And the underlying message through all of this is just so empowering. Effectiveness is learnable. It's a skill. Each of these principles, practiced until it becomes a habit, truly propels you forward. It forces you to think critically about how you choose to spend your time, your most valuable resource.
So whether it's getting crystal clear on your goals, planning your days, ruthlessly applying that 80-20 rule, or just tackling that one ugliest frog first thing, these ideas from Eat That Frog really do offer a clear path. It's about being deliberate, purposeful, moving from feeling overwhelmed to feeling empowered.
Which leads to a final question for you, the listener, to maybe think about. What's one small frog? Doesn't have to be huge. Just one ugly, important task that if you ate it today could start a really positive chain reaction in your life.
Just one to start. And with that thought, we wrap up our exploration of Eat That Frog. Remember, the goal isn't just being busy. It's about being effective and creating space for what truly matters. Go forth and eat your frogs.